How to make one of these anime dolls. I've seen a lot of them recently, and I always thought you need a specific machine to embroider these faces. Bro completely forgot that embroidery is a handcraft. So to start off, you will need this pattern. I found it on Pinterest. There's a lot of other patterns too. Just pick whichever you like. There's a part in this that I didn't use. It's here at the bottom. I didn't use that part. It was also difficult to figure out what that part was for, but I'm gonna assume it's for the legs, like to have upper and lower legs, and that part would be the upper leg, folded in half, but I didn't want my plushie's legs to be too long. You start off by tracing this pattern onto a skin-colored fabric of your choice. Then, before cutting them out, you decide which embroidery to do. You decide on a face. You can take inspiration from Pinterest, there's a lot. Draw on the face you want to make and embroider it into the face part. There's a separate tutorial here on YouTube that shows you how to do that embroidery exactly. It was pretty helpful, so go check that out. Then for the plush I made, I also added one hand embroidery. You will see it in a minute. But right, this is your embroidery moment. After you're done embroidering, you cut the pieces out and put your plushie together. If you can't figure out which part goes where, although it's pretty obvious, there's also guides for that on Pinterest. If you want to make shoes for your character, you gotta start with some plastic sheet from like the cover of an old notebook or something like that. Start with a plastic sheet, then sketch out this shape you want for your soles and make 4 of them. Yes, trust me. Then you put 2 of the soles together and stuff them with hot glue to make them a little thicker, so you don't have a literal 1mm sheet of sole, right? And if you want, you can paint your soles. I think I didn't paint these, but depending on what color you need, paint them. Now you need a sturdier fabric like jeans, or I don't know my fabrics, I use jeans. And it's kinda difficult to explain the shapes I made for this, but I'm gonna put up a picture up here. You need shapes like that. The long shape is the fabric that goes around your foot, and then the smaller one that kinda looks like a misshaped arrow is the middle part. The middle part gets glued to your sole, only in the front, and then the long part glued around the sole, like around the foot of the doll. Does that make sense? You know what a shoe looks like, right? Then you grab a needle and a string of choice. This string will be your laces, and then you really just sew them in there. You thread them in there, you know how to do laces, and then you tie it at the top. Pretty self-explanatory, I think. And there you go, your doll has shoes. This probably won't work for high heels, but for the most basic of shoes, you got this. Post-edit Jack here, but I realized this video wasn't done recording, so here is a sketch of what I did after this. So at the back of the head of the doll you will need the hair layer, just the exact shape of the head, and I sketched the rest of the pieces on there. You need them like that. And then you have the top, the sides, and the 3 pointy thingies at the top. For the front, only stitch on the upper side, like this part, only stitch it there, and the rest stays free, so you can pull it away if you want. The sides get stitched on pretty simply, and the top 3 pieces need a front and a back piece. Then for the shirt you kinda need something like this, but it doesn't have to be as structured as a real shirt. For example, the opening you can just sew it shut, and then the doll will never be able to take it off again. The pants, just very simple. These don't have to be structured at all. Just a front and a back piece. The tie, very simple. Just stitch something together that resembled a tie really. Just put something on there. The jacket was the most intricate piece because of the tail parts and the front where you fold it over. It doesn't look that good on my doll. I tried. It'll be better next time. Before I ever try selling dolls like these, I will make better clothes for them. And here's the hand embroidery I mentioned earlier. Yep.